everybody, what's up? And welcome back to the channel. And I got a question not too long ago. It was a comment on one of my videos. And the comment was, "Hey dude, what's up with all those guitars and amps?" So I'm going to answer that. I actually responded back to the guy and answered to it, but I'm going to answer it on a video because I thought it was kind of funny. So, to explain that whole thing, it basically boils down to a very simple thing, all right? As somebody that actually has a music studio that I record in, the reason why I have so many guitars and amps is because it's for ease of access and use. The reason why this studio is set up the way it is, and I have guitars here and amps here, it's all set up for plug in and play. So if I want to record out of this amp right here, I can just turn it on, I can grab whatever guitar I want off the wall, I can plug in, and I can start recording directly into my recording stuff that is over there, which is really nice. And that's the way it's set up all the way around here. I have my guitars set up in a certain way where I can just grab whatever guitar I want, plug into whatever amp I want, and I can just plug it and play. There's no having to pull it out, hook it up, do this, that, and the other, get a guitar out of a guitar case. None of that. It's all out, ready to go at any time that I ever want to play and record, which is really nice. So that is the one reason. And then I've got a drum kit over here. That is over here is its own dedicated space for drums that are over here off the camera that you guys don't see most of the time. So that is why I have this set up, and that's why I have this. And the reason why I have so many amplifiers is so I have a variety of stuff to play and stuff. And I like having so many guitars because that gives me a variety of guitars to play depending on what sound I want to go for, want to do. The other reason that I like having all this stuff and have the gear set up the way it is because I do have other people that actually come play with me and do some recording as well, and it gives them an opportunity to play gear or play guitars that they don't have access to or don't own, and it allows them to try different things for what they're playing and recorded. So having a studio that has a variety of amps and guitars and bass guitars and a drum kit and a variety of things to use allows them to experiment with the sounds that they want to try to get for whatever you're trying to play or record or do. So that makes it really nice to have access to more than just one amp and one guitar or just a couple amps. You know, I've got multitudes. I've got tube amps. I've got solid state amps. You know, I've got everything from Marshall to Orange to Peavey to Blackheart, Blackstar, using Hughes and Kettner and stuff. So I've got a good variety of stuff for recording and playing, whether you're recording or playing live, which is really nice. And then I have some guitars that I, are my like go out and gig guitars, and if they get beat up, it's okay. And I have other guitars that I don't really want to go out and gig with because they're really nice, and I prefer to just keep them in the studio. And that way, if something happens to it, something would happen to my gigging guitars, I'm not as worried about it as I do have some of these higher end ones that I have. I just keep in the studio and play. So having that variety is really nice. And the other reason is that I like having gear. I love guitars. I love amps. I love having music equipment. I love having all this music equipment, and it's taken me my whole life to get this music equipment. I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was 16 years old, and I've been accumulating gear, buying, selling, trading, swapping, everything, and upgrading my gear my whole life. And now I am older guy. I'm a much older guy. And this is what I've finally accumulated my life of playing music to, is being able to have the specific gear that I want to have to play and enjoy. And it's been a lifetime thing for me. I mean, I've slowly just picked up gear. I bought things, traded them, upgraded to the next thing, upgraded to the next thing until where I could get to where it was at. And my ultimate goal was to get to my Orange amps. And I love my Orange amps. But I still kept some of my classic stuff that I played ever since I was younger. I've got a Peavey Bandit 112 over there. It's a 100 watt 112 that I've had forever, that I've been playing since those Bandits have been out. I've been playing a version of that since I started playing guitar. I mean, I had a Backstage Plus, Peavey Backstage Plus when I originally started playing, and I've upgraded. And that 112 Peavey Bandit, it's a Peavey Bandit, and I've also got the Studio Pro 112 as well over there and stuff. Those are the red stripes, and I love those, and they're very hard to come by. They actually cost more now used than they did back in the day when they were new. Which I think is really funny, but that's why I've held on to them, because they're just a classic amp that sounds really good, and I can take that 112 and I can go gig with it, and I don't have to lug around anything big. So if I don't want to carry a big amp, I can just grab either one of those 112s and go out and do a show, because one's a 60 watt, one's a 100 watt. Either one of them will go do a small club all day long, and it's just nice to have that versatility of being able to grab what you want to play. It depends on what I'm going to go play. To what I take with me and what I go gig with or gear with. So There's a reason why that. I even have multiple PA systems. I have the PA system that is hooked up in here with these big speakers. There's several speakers over there. There's other speakers in the corner, and that's all hooked up for here in the studio. It's all wired in. That never leaves. It stays here for when I'm practicing and playing with the band that I play with. And then I have a portable setup, which is the column PA speakers. It's like the Bose system, except mine's the Harbinger, and it's 2 column speakers with 2 subs, and that fits in the trunk of a car. And I can take that setup and I can go play a big, massive place if I want to with it, and it's plenty loud. I can do outdoor venues, indoor venues with that. It's plenty loud enough, and I've got a monitor system that I take with it that goes with it. And we plug all into that system, runs into that, and boom, there you go. And it all fits in the trunk of a car, so I can literally take a full PA system, grab 2 guitars, my pedal board, the mixing board for the PA system, and it all fits in the trunk of a car, and I can go do a gig. And it takes 10 minutes to load it in, about 10 minutes to set it up, and you're off at the races, you know. So in about 30 minutes, you're totally ready to go, ready to play, and you can mic up everything with it, and it's just a great system. So having that versatility is really nice, especially when you get older like me. I don't like lugging a bunch of heavy gear around. These speakers and stuff, this is an older PA system. Those speakers are heavy. And I used to lug those things around everywhere, you know. And that PA head right there, that's a big PA head, the PVPA head right there. That thing is heavy. I don't want to carry that, you know. I want to carry the lightest stuff I can with the least amount of stuff as I can. And that's kind of where we're at in the music industry when it comes to gears. Everybody's trying to downsize. The nice thing is I have a Boss GT1000, so I actually technically don't even have to take an amp with me. I can take that GT1000, plug it into the PA system, I'm good to go, because that has amps and cabs built into it, and I have that stuff already programmed in. That Boss GT1000 is a plug-in and play system. You can take that, plug into a PA system, you're good to go. You don't even have to take an amp with you, which is really nice. So when it comes down to having a lot of gear, I have the gear I want, and I have the gear that I've wanted my whole life. So it's been like I said, it's been a lifetime of collecting it. It's been a lifetime of finding it, getting it, finding deals, you know, selling other stuff to get the next thing, and now I'm at a point in my life where I've got pretty much everything I want, and I'm very happy with it. I'm not really trying to buy anything new anymore because I've got the gear that I want, and it all is doing what I want it to do, and I'm very happy with that. And it's very nice to be able to come in here, and I've got a nice selection of bass guitars. I've got 5 really nice bass guitars. I've got probably about 30 or 32 guitars altogether, including my acoustics and everything and stuff. And it's just nice to be able to come in here, and if I want to grab my Hetfield ESP, I can play it. If I want to grab my Lizzie Hale Explorer I got over here, I can grab it. If I want to play my Schecter Silver Mountain, because I've got a couple of those, I can grab it and play it. And I just love doing that. And I don't know, if you ever go to a guitar store and you look in there, it's like a kid in a candy store. You're like, wow, I got all these guitars. Well, guess what? I got the guitar store in my house now. You know, I can walk in here and it's like a kid in a candy store. I've got all these guitars to pick from and play. And I do. Every day I come in, I pick different guitars, and I enjoy playing them. I've even got a bunch of guitars in my house, you know. I have these in the studio, and I got a bunch in the house. When I don't come out to the studio, I just play in there, and I've got at least 5 guitars in the house that I play. And that's why I have that stuff, you know. And it takes time. You know, when you're 20 years old, you're probably not going to have as much gear as I have as a guy that's an older guy that has been it. But I had a whole nother career that I did while I was doing music. You know, I worked other jobs. I mean, I actually was in the military and served in the military, and I retired from the military. And in between that, I played music, and that's what helped pay for all this stuff. And now that I'm retired from the military, I joined the military when I was very young. I was 17 years old when I joined the military, and I parlayed that into something to where I was able to retire early, you know, and not have to be working in my 40s and 50s. You know, I actually ended up, I was 43 years old when I retired. I was medically retired, but that's when I retired. So, you know, I've been able to, since then, just pursue the things that I really want to pursue, which has been a lot of different things. I got a lot of different things I like to do, and that's been nice. But I had a career for a long time that I worked hard at to build up to that. You know, it's not like this just happened overnight. So it takes time. You know, it's not going to happen overnight, because I do get some people that seem like they make comments like they're jealous because I have the gear that I have, and I explain to them that I've been collecting gear since I was 16 years old, you know, and I'm a much older guy now, so it took a long time to get this stuff, and you should have something, by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, you should have something to show for yourself. You should definitely have something to show for yourself, you know, and this is what I have, and this is what I'm going to leave my kid. You know, my kiddos are going to inherit this stuff, you know, and if they want to play it, that's great. But if they don't, then they can sell it off and do whatever they want to. But this is like an inheritance sitting around here. And the nice thing about the gear that I have now is it doesn't really decrease in value. It's actually holding its value very well. And that was something else that I was very particular about in the stuff that I ended up getting and working up to was guitars that I wanted, but it was also guitars that I know that would hold up in value. You know, and that I have several guitars you can't even get anymore. You can't find, they don't sell them anymore. They stopped them. Like the Silver Mountains, Schecter stopped making the Silver Mountains. So this red and black Silver Mountain and the silver and black Silver Mountain, you just can't get those anymore. And they're amazing guitars. I have another Schecter guitar back there that's a camel guitar. That was a limited edition guitar. They only made 500 of those total, and they did a Floyd Rose version and they did a hardtail version. I have the hardtail version, and they only sent like 100 of them. I think it was 100 of them that came to the States. You know, they divided up all over the world. Only 100 of them came to the United States. 50 of those were hardtails. 50 of them were Floyd Rose's or tremolo system they had on there. So this guitar is literally one of 50 that showed up in the States, which is super cool to me. You know, and it took me a long time. I remember when they first got released. It took me a long time to get one, and I only found that a few years ago. You know, that I found it, and I just lucked out. Oh my God, it was such a lucky thing. But that's how I've gotten a lot of stuff. A lot of late night searching on different things like Reverb and eBay and places like that, looking for deals. And because I don't sleep a lot, I'm up until like 4 or 5 in the morning. And that's when I do a lot of my shopping. So, but anyway, that's why I have so much gear. There's a lot of different reasons why I have the gear I have. But you know, there's a lot of guys that like my gear collection is nothing compared to what some of the other guys have, you know. But it's nice to have a studio. I literally have a dedicated studio. This is a dedicated studio. That's what this building is a dedicated music studio to come in and play and record, practice, and that's why it's set up the way it is. That's why I have the gear in here that I have. And it was a lifelong dream for me to have my own music studio for practicing and recording. It was a lifelong dream, and I wasn't able to. I mean, I'm in my 50s now, and it wasn't until I got into my 50s that I was able to make this happen. So if that tells you anything, it took me all that time. You know, when I finally got in my 50s, I finally was able to build my own music studio. I mean, I've had music studios in my house before and stuff, but this is a dedicated building. This is separate from my house. This is a dedicated building that is strictly for me recording and doing my videos and making music and doing stuff like that. And it was a lifelong dream to be able to do that. Now, it's not a huge studio either. This isn't a massive studio, but it's big enough to have a 5-piece band in here when I want to practice. So that's nice. And you can have a couple people sitting in here too. So, but it was a lifelong dream, and everything I have in here was literally a lifelong dream to make happen. And I enjoyed coming in here every day and sitting down, because the other thing I like about having all the gear around is it makes me want to be creative. It makes me want to write. It makes me want to create music. It makes me want to do things like that. So it's really nice, and it's inspiring. So guitars inspire me, amps inspire me. So different pedals inspire me. I mean, I've got a whole stack of pedals over there, stomp boxes and stuff. So that's why I have what I have, and that's why it's set up the way it is. So to answer that question, that's the answer I have for you. For anybody that's going to ask that question, that's the answer I have. That's why I have the stuff I have. And it's been a lifetime. It's been a lifetime. I think the biggest thing that happens is that a lot of these younger people don't realize that it's taken me a lifetime, my whole life, dedicated to playing and stuff and building up to have what I have now. I didn't have this stuff when I was 20 years old. When I was 20 years old and gigging and playing, I had one amp and I had a couple guitars. I originally started off with 2 guitars, and then I bought another one and I had a third, so I had 3, and that was it. And that was all I had for many, many years. I had one 412 cabinet. I had this PV Rockmaster head with a PV 412 cab. That was the amp I had, and I had 3 guitars. So I had one main guitar and 2 backups, you know, and that's what I had, you know. And most of the time, I had one guitar. I had one guitar at the band space. I had one guitar at the house, and the other guitar was usually riding around on my car. You know, it was kind of how it was. But that was it. You know, I didn't have a bunch of gear. I didn't have a bunch of gear back then, and for many years, that's all I had. That was all the gigs I had. I did have a little PV Backstage Plus 2 that I kept around. So I technically had 2 amps. But that was it. That's all I could afford. You know, I couldn't afford anything else. I used to dream. I used to go play Explorers and things like that, and dream of owning those guitars. You know, play guitars that I never thought I was ever going to be able to own. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to figure out a way to do that. And so that's what I did. And so, you know, here I am in my 50s, and this is what I worked really hard to have, and I have something to show for it. And it's nice to be able to come in and play and sit there. And if I want to play the drums, I can play the drums. If I want to play whatever I want to play, I can do it. And it's nice to have people over that can come in and play, and they're like, wow, I can play this, I can play that, and we can have a lot of fun. That's what I like about this space. This is a very creative space, and when other people come, it makes them want to create as well. So, anyway, there you guys go. There's the answer to that question. I hope you guys found that interesting. If you guys have any questions and comments about any of the gear, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. I'm no expert, by no means. I never say I'm an expert. I'm just a rhythm guitar guy that likes to play guitar, and I enjoy music, and I enjoy music equipment. So that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all the support that I've got on this channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.